Good evening, everyone. Well, obviously, we're on here to discuss what happened on yesterday morning, I believe, our time, with the capture of Maduro. I'll make this quick. I have no necessarily issue with the action itself. The military portion of it was flawless for the most part. All the bluff and all the stuff that Maduro was trying to say and all the equipment, all this, none of it came to fruition. We had total air dominance. We were able to do what we needed to do. We shut down their power grid. We did all kinds of stuff. The Venezuelan military was totally ineffective. I believe it was Delta Force, is what we've been told, and I believe the FBI hostage rescue went into his compound and grabbed him and his wife and got out of there. I think all of it was done within 3 hours. As far as missions go, it doesn't get much better than that, I believe. One of the helicopters did sustain some damage, was still able to get back to the ship. They said there might have been a couple of injuries, but everybody was able to get back to the ships and bases where they came from. So as far as the military is concerned, military part of the mission was concerned, that was an excellent military mission. Now, a lot of people are I shouldn't say a lot. There are some people complaining that he needed congressional approval. No, he didn't need congressional approval. People seem to forget that, one, he didn't declare war on Venezuela. He just went in there and got Maduro, the president. The reason he went in there and got Maduro is because there was an indictment out on him. There was a warrant for his arrest, and there was a $50 million reward for his arrest. So this mission was Department of Justice led, with the Department of War assisting the Justice Department. Obviously, the FBI had to be there to actually do the arrest, because the military doesn't have the authority to do arrests other than the Coast Guard. So this was the Department of Justice mission that the Department of War assisted in. This was not a declaration of war, no, not even close. Every president has done something similar. They went in, got a fugitive, and took him out. It's just that simple. Did it with Noriega, did it with Osama bin Laden, did it with former president of the Philippines back in the early 1900s. We've done it many times. Now, should maybe he have informed Congress that he was doing it? Maybe. I don't see the problem in doing that. He mentioned in his in the briefing that they told Congress after the fact, but they didn't want to tell Congress before the fact because he believes that the Congress has leaks. Maybe he's right, but nevertheless, should he have told Congress before he did it? Maybe it couldn't have hurt nothing. In my opinion, yeah, he probably should have told at least congressional leadership, if nothing else. But he didn't. Did he need congressional approval for what he did? No, he did not. War Powers Act. There's many things that he can do as commander-in-chief. And again, this was a Department of Justice mission. So people seem to forget that. That totally negates what's going on. We did not declare a war on Venezuela. We're not at war with Venezuela. These people are actually stupid. The only people that are upset are the people that are upset because we got rid of a socialist dictator in South America, and they're upset about it because they're socialists themselves and they like a socialist country. The socialist mayor of New York City was upset because he probably lost his buddy and his best friend. The people that are upset like socialism, and that's why they're upset. Hence the reason why a lot of Democrats are upset, because they like socialism. But most of the Venezuelans you see all over the internet are very happy that he's gone. Yes, of course there are going to be ones that aren't. Of course, probably the ones that benefited from being in a socialist regime. There's always somebody that benefits. Most people don't, but there are always few that do. And the few that do, of course, are going to not like the fact that he's gone. But for the most part, from what I've seen, most people in Venezuela are happy. All the Venezuelans that live in America and overseas, most of them I've seen are happy, extremely happy, especially the ones here and the ones I saw that live in the Miami area, which is a humongous population. They're extremely happy. A lot of these folk may end up returning home once the government is, once they finalize the government and all that other stuff. They're going to return home. And good for them. They've been waiting for this. They've been under two dictators, Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro. So, Venezuela didn't used to be a dictatorship. It used to be a thriving country. So it's good that eventually it'll get back to that. Now, again, the military mission, excellent. Went almost perfect. Couldn't ask for a better military mission. Everybody did their job. Venezuela military, way overhyped. Our military was far superior. And we had total air dominance. For the videos I saw, we had total air dominance. We bombed the things we needed to bomb. Took out the the anti-air batteries and all that other stuff. We took out all that stuff. So it was perfect coordination. Cyber shut down the power grid. Did all that they do. It was just great coordination. Really enjoyed the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, his briefing. He went into that, and it was great briefing. And then I think another thing people will probably talk about, well, he did it for the oil. Well, maybe he did. Despite the fact that Maduro had a warrant out for his arrest, a $50 million reward for his arrest. Yeah, maybe we did. But then most wars I shouldn't say wars, because I say that because that's what everybody's saying, but it's not a war. We're not at war with Venezuela. We didn't go in there and kill a bunch of civilians and all this other stuff. No, we didn't. The targets that we hit were pre-planned targets. Most of them were military targets or drug-related targets. People that were killed were probably Maduro's bodyguards at the place he was at. And so, no, we're not at war. But anyways, any type of conflict or anything like that any country has had anywhere around the world usually has something to do with resources. Any type of conflict, any type of war, any type of anything usually has something to do with resources. The war we had in Iraq, resources. Do I believe that Saddam Hussein had WMDs? He might have, but that wasn't the real reason why we went in there. Okay, that was purely a revenge thing by Bush. And not something I endorsed. That was a waste of time. So was Afghanistan. That was a total waste of resources, time, blood. That was just stupid. But nevertheless, you support the troops and you pray that they come home. In this case, we went in there surgically, got Maduro, got his wife, and brought him back for trial. Trial starts tomorrow. It was almost a perfect mission. So I think they're still doing the blockade of oil until, the president said that we're going to be managing the country until either we let them have new elections or that lady, the Nobel Peace Prize winner comes, even though I don't think the president has too much confidence in her. When she was brought up in the briefing, he wasn't too thrilled about seeing her be president. I would think she'd be the front runner, and still may be, but okay. It's definitely not going to be the vice president because she was handpicked by Maduro. So if she starts acting stupid, then I guess we'll probably go in and get her too. I'm not sure what we're going to do about all the generals. I'm not sure if we took any of them out or if we have plans to. But obviously, can't let them run the country. So I'm not sure what a U.S. administered Venezuela is going to look like in the short term. He had mentioned that the U.S. oil companies are going to be going in there and fixing all the infrastructure that's been decimated in the years that the two dictators have been in charge, Hugo Chavez and Maduro. Obviously, that's going to cost billions. Obviously, we're going to benefit from that. Prayerfully, as the president stated, the people of Venezuela benefit from that. We trade with other countries and all this other stuff. That's the most important thing out of all this is that they get a, you know, they get elections, they get who they want, and that they're able to have free trade. They're able to, make more money. They're no longer under a socialist regime. They're able to, improve their lives. They're able to reap the rewards of the natural resources they have in their country. And I believe that that's the main thing. Are we going to get benefits from it? Of course we are. Why wouldn't we? The president, invoked the Monroe Doctrine, which has been in place for decades and decades and decades and decades. I have no issues with that. The Western Hemisphere is under America's sphere of influence. We don't want, socialist regimes in our sphere of influence, so Cuba's probably going to be next. Now that they see that we have no issues going in and doing what we need to do, and there's nothing really they can say about it, it is what it is. I believe China has an issue, but they're just going to have an issue. China ain't going to do nothing about it. They're not going to mess with us. They're going to talk a big game, but they're not going to do nothing. What's done is done. Some people, doing regime change is not popular. I'm not necessarily a fan of it either. But being that this gentleman had a warrant out and there's a $50 million reward for his arrest, this is the Department of Justice thing all the way around. This wasn't just us just all of a sudden just, going out and doing it. And if I remember correctly, this indictment or warrant has been out since 2020. I could be wrong. So this reward has been out for a minute. I could be wrong. It might be less than that, but let's just say President Biden didn't agree with him either. One of the few decent things President Biden did was not, recognize Maduro as president of Venezuela. Nor did the EU, even though there's some EU countries that didn't agree with what the president did. And that's fine, whatever. The EU they're all guilty of worse things in their history. So they have they have nothing to stand on. They can't lecture nobody. The people in Europe can't lecture anybody. Really, nobody can lecture anybody. Simple fact of the matter is this gentleman had a $50 million reward on his head. We went in there and collected. According to the president, we gave him many opportunities to surrender. He didn't take it. So we went in. This was months in preparation. And it showed. And it's a big deal. It's definitely going to change the way people look at things. And understandably, some people are upset about it. I get it. Regime change is not something that we should be doing. I do agree that we should definitely be promoting free and fair elections. That should be the first thing that came out of the president's mouth. It wasn't, but it should have been. I believe it probably is on his mind, but that should have been the first thing that came out, is that now that he's gone, priority is not the oil, but the priority is to have free and fair elections. What's her name can come back, but she's going to have to run again, and that the people will decide who they want as their president. And if she ends up being the president, wonderful. I think that should be the priority. He put Cuba and Colombia on notice. I think Colombia doesn't have a socialist government. A lot of drugs come out of Colombia, so that's why the president put Colombia on notice. Cuba is the last remaining socialist holdout in the Western Hemisphere, so they definitely are on notice. Cuba would be even easier to take control of than Venezuela. But again, people get all upset about this, that, and the other, and they like socialism but have never lived in socialism. These people have no clue what they're talking about. They think they like socialism, but when they finally, if they were to go to Cuba and live like a socialist, or go to Venezuela when it was socialist, they wouldn't like it. These people have no clue what they're talking about. That's why you can't listen to them. You can't believe nothing they say. They don't know what they're talking about. They've never lived in socialism. They've lived in capitalism. We're not a democracy, so I hate it when people use that word to include our own people. We're not a democracy. We're a federal republic. There is no democracy in this world. We use that word wrong. There is no true democracy in this world at all. Okay, we are a republic, as are most countries. Okay, people are just so uninformed and so don't know what's going on. So I just wanted to chime in here and kind of give my 2 cents. Again, overall, I have no issue with what President did. It was bound to happen. I mean, we had all the planes and ships and everything else around there. You knew it was going to happen eventually. I'm glad he did it the way he did it. I don't believe there were any civilian casualties, or innocent casualties, should I say. They went in there, did exactly what they needed to do, and got out. Is that to say that we're done? Maybe, maybe not. Did we declare war on Venezuela? No, we did not. We did not declare war on Venezuela. We just grabbed Maduro. So these stupid Democrats and these other stupid people are thinking we just declared war. We did not. Because if we wanted to declare war on Venezuela, we'd have done more than just taking Maduro. We'd have wiped the whole country out. And could have done it very easily, and we showed that we could have done it very easily. Very easily. We had B-1 bombers doing precision bombing in and around the capital of a foreign country without anybody shooting back at all. You think that if we wanted to declare war on Venezuela, we could have just wiped the whole country out? Y'all stupid. These people are stupid. They want us to have a war. That's why they keep talking about we just declared. We didn't declare anything. In that case, yes, we would have to have congressional approval, and I totally agree that we need to have congressional approval to declare war. Obviously, everybody needs to be on the same page. This was not a war. We did not declare a war. This wasn't even a conflict. This wasn't Iraq. This wasn't Afghanistan. We did the same thing that we did in Panama when we went in and got Noriega. This is the exact same thing. The exact same thing. Except this one went even better. So all these stupid Democrats and all these other people just need to shut their mouth and actually do their homework. But you're always going to have people that disagree, and that's fine. That's just the way it is. And again, should he have at least informed the congressional leadership that he was doing it? Yeah, probably so. That probably would have been the right thing to do. But he didn't. Again, because it wasn't a Department of War thing. It was a Department of Justice carrying out a warrant for the arrest of for a particular person who had a reward out. It could have been anybody that collected that reward. So, it is what it is. Um, could the president have done his speech a little better? Yeah, he could have. If I were him, I'd have focused much more on free and fair elections. I'd have focused much more on that than the oil. I think the oil, I'd have made much more of a minor thing. But he made it much more of a major topic. Though he did bring up, of course, the people of Venezuela, which of course he should have. So I would have done it a little differently, obviously. I would have done it differently. But that's just me. And again, we know President Trump has a very large ego, and he does tend to do those type of things. But again, you know what you're getting. So it's not a shock or surprise when he does stuff like that. Sometimes he shoots from the hip, and sometimes, he lets his ego come out. And yeah, that does ruffle a lot of feathers. But that's who he is, and people know this, so they shouldn't be surprised by it. You just deal with it. Again, in the end, he's a politician, just like everybody else. So, if I were him, I'd have done it a little differently. But then again, I'm not him. So, I'm just giving, again, my 2 cents. So, Nicolas Maduro. Arraignment starts tomorrow. He's in New York. And he's going to start, the trial process starts tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how the plan to administer Venezuela goes. Hopefully it goes well. I would prefer Rubio kind of run that than anybody else, because I think Rubio's got a good head on his shoulders. Plus, he speaks Spanish. So I think that I think he's much better suited for this than anybody else in the administration, in my opinion. I think Rubio's much better suited for this. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I hope everything goes well. I hope that we do this quickly. And I hope we tell Venezuela, look, y'all need to have elections. I could care less about the UN. The UN is a waste. I could care less about what other countries think. They've done worse or the same. So who cares what they think? These other countries need to mind their business, just like we need to mind our business in what they do. I mean, unless we're trying to, do a peace process or something. But other than that, countries are going to do what they do. And there's only so much you can do. Even in making peace, there's only so much you can do. So either they're going to listen to you or they're not. So I think for the most part, most people are happy to see Maduro get arrested. I think the majority of people are pretty thrilled about it. But there's always going to be a few that are not. And it's just the way it is. So yeah, what a way to start off the new year. So yeah, let me know what y'all think about it, whether you agree with it or not. Again, as always, be respectful. Not everybody's going to agree, and that's okay. That's fine. It's all good. Again, my comments on here are my experiences, my life experiences, and my opinions. And not everybody's going to have the same thing. And that's fine. And, the way I look at it, when the president said he's going to do something, unlike most presidents, he does it. And what I like is that he doesn't care what other countries think. He's just going to do what he feels is in the best interest of the United States, just like other countries do what they feel is in the best interest of their countries. I have no problem with that. Again, could have some things have been done a little bit better, or this a few details here and there? Sure, of course, just like anything else. But it is what it is. What's done is done. Can't turn back now. So let's hope that everything goes well, and that it's a speedy process, and that we're able to give Venezuela back to the people of Venezuela, and they can have free and fair elections and elect the person that they want, whether it be that lady who won the Nobel Peace Prize or somebody else, as long as it's somebody that they want. In the end, that's all we should be caring about. And then we'll go from there, and hopefully, sign a trade deal with them, and that Venezuela can be the country that that they've always wanted to be, and that they have the potential to be. And that's all you want from any country, is to any country to reach their potential and be able to trade with other countries and just live life like everybody else. That's all. And preserve your culture. That's all you want from any country. And so let's hope we can do that as quickly as possible so we can get out of this and move on to something else. So, and of course, I guess the other argument would be, well, how is this America first? Well, it is America first, because if we have a country in our hemisphere that's not stable and is an enemy of us, and at every turn is trying to, and it's been, and he sent all his prisoners and mental people through our borders, well, that's affecting national security. So, yeah, it is America first, because we're protecting our borders and protecting drugs from coming in and stopping criminals and gang members and all this other trading Aragua, and come to find out he was the leader of another gang, and all these things start coming out. So in the end, it is America first, because we're protecting them. We're protecting the United States. Obviously, I have no issues with what we're doing on the southern border. It's been proven that's working. So, hey, there's a lot of things going on that I think are going to be helpful in the long run, and that are working. So we'll see how it goes. But anyways, let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Again, thankful for all my subscribers, all 39 of them. I'm very grateful for each and every one of you. Thankful for everybody that leaves comments and likes. Very grateful, very thankful. Hopefully trying to do better in 2026. I'm just going to kind of stick to this. I don't have to worry about YouTube flagging me for being an AI or anything like that. I just try to keep it simple, just give my opinion on various subjects, and hope that you all enjoy it, and, kind of go from there. So in the end, we'll see you on the next time with another topic. God bless you.